Every year we have a getaway, Lucas and I. Our winters are so busy, and some days we have 7 days a week of lessons, 15 lessons a day. And we just have to kind of get away and clear our heads and celebrate and, you know, spend some time together as well. Because it's just a stressful off season, even though we love what we do. So this year we're in Minneapolis, and first time here, and the scenery is awesome. But this is also a vacation for me because right now I'm 2 weeks from putting my book into the world, the book about me and my career, and I've been sort of almost cracking trying to finish it. And so there's a big difference between that book, Pitching Isn't Complicated, my first book, because that one, it was 15 chapters, 16 chapters, whatever it is. I have to go back and look these days of just how to do stuff that I know how to do. So that writing, it came easy, it was fast. The sentences and the language didn't have to be meticulously poured over. It needed to be well written, but it was just fundamentally different than this book about me, because this book, if I tell my story in an uninteresting way, in a poorly written way, in a boring way, it just doesn't work. It's the same story, poorly written or well written. And so I didn't understand at first what an undertaking it would be trying to get something out that actually is me into the world, and how hard that would be, because every edit, every draft, you feel like I've got to go back, and if this isn't what it needs to be, if it's not perfect, it's going to be a lifelong reflection on me. So right now I'm walking the Stone Arch Bridge in Minneapolis, which crosses Minneapolis, well, it bridges Minneapolis with St. Anthony's, I think is what it is. And this is the third time I've walked it in a couple days. It's just so scenic this weekend. It's like 55 degrees. It's not normal for Minnesota. So one of the things I wasn't prepared for in this second book was just the vast amount of editing. It's like 110,000 words, which is like 280 pages. But my other book was, I think, 60,000 words, and it just was a lot less complex. And the other thing is, as you write something that's more of a story than nonfiction, your brain is sort of in creative mode. It's filling in the rest of the story. So as I was going, I was kind of like multiple sentences and multiple paragraphs ahead. And so with my brain a little bit forward in the distance, I started losing focus on the actual sentence structure and was making tons of little typos that I wouldn't ordinarily make, because I was kind of seeing it as a big picture rather than the little nitty-gritty details when you're just writing something that's, you know, an email, or pecking out something that's a little more straightforward. So I wasn't prepared for all that, and then 110,000 words, and you can't have any mistakes. And so after days and days of pouring back through every single word, looking for any little typo, you know, switching sentence structure around, it just became this like, I don't even know what I'm looking at kind of thing anymore, where you feel like you're gonna crack. And so after a couple weeks of this, I just was looking at it, and you start second guessing it, and you just feel like you're going crazy from, is it right? Is it right? Is it right? Because kind of imagine you're making a sculpture of yourself that's going to be permanently in a place where everyone can see it for forever. You just don't want it to look like a monster, you know? And so I wasn't prepared for that, and that's the last like final phase that I'm in. And I just didn't know it was going to be that nerve-wracking. I didn't know that I was going to feel as afraid in the last couple weeks of releasing this. Just absolutely second-guessing the whole thing. Like, is this drivel? Is this just sappy whatever? Is anyone going to relate to this except for me? Is anyone going to think this is good except for my family? So that's been like the last stage of this book thing. Whereas for the 2 years this project's been a project, it was just like, oh yeah, I'm writing my book, it'll get done, it'll get done, it'll get done. Well, now that it's really close to being done, there's just been a lot of different feelings coming out, and then especially going back through the audiobook, which is a nightmare in itself. It's just been an interesting process. So Minneapolis to me, which just has beautiful skyline, it's for me the home stretch. When I get home, I didn't do much at all about the book here. I've got the manuscript's pretty much done, but the audiobook's got a long way to go. When I get home, it's the home stretch. I got to kind of clear my head here this week, and it's going to be full steam ahead, and then it's going to be out there in the world, and we'll see if it's good or not. That's going to be up to you. It's not going to be up to me. And one of the things people have been telling me recently is like, oh, this takes so much courage to do what you're doing. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just writing a book. Like, I live this. It's not that big a deal. Well, I finally hit the point in the process where I think the courage is necessary, because I don't know. I guess it was kind of just like you're in the background, you're prepping off stage, and now I'm finally ready to kind of go out in front of everyone out on stage. And it might suck, or it might be great. I don't know until it's out there, and that's the scary thing. I've been a performer my whole life, a baseball player, but it just feels different. So I hate cliches, but one of those cliches where people say, do something every day that scares you. I think there's some merit, because you're on the right track when you're doing something that's putting you out of your comfort zone. And I feel like if at this point, with the book about to go live in 2 weeks, if I wasn't nervous about what's in it, if I wasn't afraid that it's gonna make me, look a lot of different ways, it's not gonna make me look, it's just gonna tell the real story. It's just gonna be a very honest sharing of what we actually go through as athletes, as ball players, as men, because a lot of us, we just hold our feelings in. I did it for years and years and years. We say, oh, it's not that bad, I'll get through it, it's this and that, and that's true. We do all those things. I did get through everything. But at the same time, there was just a lot more to it than that. There was a lot more of the human element that I struggled with, that I didn't tell people, and it's all in the book. And that, letting everyone know that yeah, for a period of time, I was sobbing in my car after I retired. Not because I wanted to play more baseball, just because I didn't know what I was going to do with the rest of my life, and I didn't know why I got out of bed that morning. Like, what was my purpose? It was to be a major leaguer for so long, but that was no longer it. And so all of that stuff's in there, and that's the stuff that as I get close, I just wonder. It's just that fear of going on stage for the first time in a new place, with a new audience, with knowing that how vicious people can be on the internet. So I don't know. So Minneapolis, it's been amazing. You can see how beautiful this city is, really walkable, clean, seems to be very friendly people. Really nice this weekend. So heading home, gonna finish the book, I'm gonna push it out of the nest. It's gonna be what it's gonna be.